Welcome back everybody. It's been quite some time since I've done a video pertaining to enclosure builds, and let me just tell you that by the end of this video we're going to have 3 very happy crested geckos. I hope you're as excited to watch this video as I am to share it with you all. Oh boy, I'm excited to share this trip with you guys. What's up everybody? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Dion and you're watching Reptiliatus. Friends, sometimes the best of us let our plants slip through the cracks of daily or weekly maintenance, and they can sometimes dry out and look really bad to the point where they actually just die. No, I don't purposely do it, but it's happened. And in today's video, well, my Crested Gecko enclosures are not looking so hot. What we're going to be doing today is revamping all my Crested Gecko enclosures. Call them Crested Gecko enclosures 2.0, whatever you like. If you are currently watching this video and you own Crested Geckos, or you want to know how to set up an adult Crested Gecko enclosure, you will definitely want to watch this video from the beginning to the end because, well, that's exactly what we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna show you how to set up an enclosure, how to make it really nice. We have lots of new live plants, fresh new substrate. We're gonna redecorate the hardscape. It's gonna be awesome. Before I get into the video, I wanna take a quick moment to say that I make videos about specialty pets such as reptiles, amphibians, different kinds of cool invertebrates. So if that's something you're interested in learning about, definitely consider subscribing down below and dinging the little notification bell afterwards so you don't miss any of my future uploads. I do my best to post 2 videos a week. Awesome. Okay everyone, so as you can see, I really wasn't kidding. The enclosures are looking rough. You can remember these beautiful Dracaenas? Well, they died over the summer. And the ZZ plants are very drought tolerant, so they're looking okay, and I've been watering them and they have a bit of new growth coming in, but we're gonna redo everything in here. So like I said, we're gonna find new ways to set up the vines. We'll move the cork around. We'll get the new plants in. Just give the enclosures a nice revamping. So that's Pingu and Rambo there. And then in this enclosure, we have little Nona, who loves to sleep very close to the front of the enclosure as usual. Yeah, we're just gonna get in here. We're gonna start by taking out all the dead plants. The Dracaenas going on both sides, and then we'll decide how we want to scape things. So let's get started. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is gently remove each gecko like so. You're okay. She's like, I don't want to go. Then we're going to place them into a container with some moistened sphagnum moss where they're going to stay safely, if I can get her in there, until we're done revamping the enclosures. Well guys, this was a pretty cool surprise. Found another clutch of eggs from Pingu. She's still been producing a few clutches of eggs, but I've noticed that things are slowing down greatly, thankfully, as winter approaches. So this is probably going to be her last clutch. I'm going to get them in an incubation container and set them on the shelf. Pretty crazy how many clutches she's given me this year. Alright everybody, now that the crested geckos are safe in their containers, it's time to take each enclosure apart. So I have a big bucket here. What we're gonna do is just come in here and remove firstly this sad dead Dracaena that I killed with my negligence, just like that. And we're gonna go in here and carefully extract the live plants because as I mentioned, these ZZs are alive and well, and there's no reason we shouldn't be saving them. So here we go. They do have larger root systems, and just kind of dig them out. I think I need both hands. This is tricky. This ZZ really has some big roots. Okay, perfect. We got one of the ZZs out there. Yank out the next one, just like that. Perfect. So for plants, I have this pothos here that I'm going to put in one of the enclosures, and then I have another pothos cutting here that I'm going to put in another enclosure. I picked these cuttings because they're starting to sort of branch off and they have these aerial roots here, so I'm hoping that we can guide them to sort of climb up either some of the cork bark or even the background of the enclosure. Now these are 2 plants I'm a lot more excited about. We have 2 different kinds of philodendron that I purchased from a sort of local plant shop called Hidden Path. This one here is a philodendron penduriform, and this is a philodendron Eva. Really nice looking philodendrons. For substrate, we're going to be mixing some of this into the existing substrate to just give it some freshness. It's a nice ABG mix by a company called Jurassic. No, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. And then Exoterra's lovely leaf litter. We're going to use some of this as well. Now we're going to go ahead and take some of our soil mix, put it into the enclosure, and then stir it in so that we have a fresh amount of soil mixed in with our old soil. The soil I'm working with from before really isn't that bad, which is why I'd like to just rejuvenate it with some fresh soil as opposed to replacing it completely. Once the substrate is well mixed, I'm gonna wipe down the glass with some vinegar water solution because it's all accessible and I want the tank to be perfectly clean when I start scaping it. It's time to envision how I'd like to lay out the cork hides. I want to do something different from last time, mix it up for the animals. Heck, hopefully come up with something that looks nicer than before. Let's see how this turns out. Alright, I'm fairly happy with this layout. Now I'm going to add the vines back into the enclosure, and these are going to take advantage of a lot of that empty wasted space to give the gecko something else to climb on. Now it's time to add plants, which is one of my favorite steps. We're going to add this philodendron to the back of the enclosure between the two cork tubes. The reason I want to do this because I envision it growing rather large and it does have pretty big leaves. I think this will look amazing in a few months once it's established itself and grown in a bit. Once I have it set where I want it, all I have to do is carefully add soil around the roots and pat it down gently. Now I'm going to start bringing some of the ZZs back into the enclosure that were there originally. Remember that when you're choosing plants for your crested geckos, you want to pick hardy plants that can also handle the weight of the animals. The last thing you want to put is delicate plants that are going to get destroyed or snapped from their weight leaping around the enclosure. So try to consider that when picking your plants. I strongly recommend Pothos and Dracaena Janet Craig as really good options for crested gecko enclosures. Speaking of Pothos, it's time to add one of our two cuttings to this enclosure. I'm positioning it up against this cork piece so that the roots have the opportunity to sort of fasten it as it climbs up. I've put it on the right side of the enclosure so it sort of obstructs the view from the Leachianus enclosure to the right. I'm also going to add a few plant cuttings that I took from my dart frog vivariums. These are just some small plants that I've been growing in my little greenhouse tent until they've rooted well in some sphagnum soil mix, so it'll be easy to plant them here. I think they're going to look awesome over time as they grow out a little taller and more bushy, and yeah, I think it'll just be a nice way to add some additional accenting to the enclosure's forefront. I'm really happy with how the enclosure is coming along, but I have to say this is a lot of wasted space up here, so we're going to add this extra cork tube to the top so that it's not wasted. By placing it here, the animals have a little bit more roaming surface to, climb on and do things on. I think it makes all the difference. Have a look for yourself. It's beautiful, look at it. Now you can hear me pumping away at the water pump. We're just going to spray things down a little bit, water some of the plants, and prepare to add our leaf litter and bioactive cleanup crews into the enclosure. Okay, now we're going to add a good amount of leaf litter to the floor of the enclosure. This is beneficial in several ways. Firstly, it helps shelter and hide the cleanup crew, springtails and isopods. And secondly, as that leaf litter is broken down over time by the cleanup crew and other factors, it will help nourish the soil again. What's also really cool is that when you offer your crested gecko live prey, the crickets, for example, will hide in the leaf litter, and this provides enrichment to the geckos as they have to stalk and hunt them through it. Now it's time to seed our enclosure with the cleanup crew. These are dwarf white isopods, and in my opinion they're the best option for isopod cleanup crews. They're little parthenogenic reproducing isopods that are really good at consuming fecal material, breaking down leaf litter and other plant waste. They just benefit the enclosure. I find they also dig through the soil and create small air pockets, which can also be beneficial to plant root systems. Probably the best option for not eating your plants. These here tropical white springtails, we're going to add quite a few of them to the enclosure, and they're very good at helping consume and keep mold levels in an enclosure at bay, especially freshly established enclosures that can sometimes grow different fungi and other types of mold and things like that. Well, what do you guys think? I gotta say, I really exceeded my own expectations. This enclosure looks awesome. Friends, we're gonna take a quick break for me to take a moment to thank our video sponsor of the day, Govee. Govee was generous enough to send me a smart humidifier for my reptile room. By now you should all know that the majority of the animals I keep love humidity. Not only this, my reptile room and home at large are full of an array of beautiful tropical houseplants. And these animals and plants all benefit from a little bit of added humidity, which this product does an incredible job of providing. The Govee 6-liter humidifier has a large tank and enables you to have an effective range of approximately 56 feet. The product also features a night light that can be customized on the Govee Home app, which is a pretty neat feature if you want to have a different vibe or use the product in your bedroom as a night lamp. It also contains a UVC light, which is sort of like a sterilization light that keeps the water and mist pure and kills off harmful bacteria. Really love that feature. It contains a built-in sensor which allows the product to know when to shut off on its own based on the level of humidity you're setting for the room it's been placed in. One of the features I love the most about this product is that by connecting it to the Govee Home app, you can set various cycles based on your preferred settings. You can control the humidity level you want it to run till it hits. You can also control the strength that it emits fog at, and you can even choose how long the cycle should last. All very handy features that will help keep your reptiles and plants happy. Thank you so much to Govee for sponsoring today's video. And if you're interested in owning your own smart humidifier for your home, for your reptiles or plants to benefit from, you can purchase one down below through the Amazon link. Okay everybody, it's back to work we go. We are now going to tear down Nona's enclosure, and we're going to start by removing all the dead plants, all the vines, all the other hardscape like the cork bark, the live ZZ plants. You know the drill by now. We're getting ready to put in more fresh substrate and mix that in. Again, we'll do a quick glass cleaning before the wood goes in and makes that more tricky to deal with. And now we're going to figure out the layout for the hardscape. Time to add our plants. Pothos goes in first in the back corner. Now we dig out a little spot for the philodendron to go in. I'm really excited about these philodendrons going into both of these enclosures. They're gonna look awesome over time. Next we'll put in the good old ZZ plants. And before I add any last cuttings, I want to put my jungle vines in where I think I want them, just so I can plan around that for any additional plants. This enclosure is awesome. Nona's gonna love climbing on these vines. Okay, now I'm gonna add a few more of those plant cuttings. They go in really nice, and again, they're just gonna accent the enclosure a bit more. Going to up the humidity with a good spray down and help the plants acclimate. And now we can start adding our leaf litter, just like before. Dwarf white isopods go in. Tropical white springtails go in. It's super important that you add lots and lots and lots of springtails when you're initially starting up a bioactive enclosure. As you can see, I spared no springtails. There's tons in there, and we're probably going to keep adding more and more over time. There are few things that feel better in the hobby than upgrading your animals or providing them with enrichment. Knowing that your animals will benefit and love a new and fresh enclosure is just such a good feeling. All I have to do here is clean up around because I dropped a lot of soil, and we're ready to put the crested geckos back into their new and improved enclosures. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below, and feel free to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy seeing these enclosures be built and you think they also look nice for the geckos. I'm so excited about this, guys, and it's going to be so much fun doing future content like feeding videos in these enclosures and showing you the cresties and seeing how they enjoy them. But before we move the cresties back into their enclosure, I want to ask you all a question. For today's question of the day, I'd like to ask you all, what plants do you like keeping in your Crested Gecko enclosure? And if you're not keeping any live plants, what type of decor do you like using in your Crested Gecko enclosure that you find they really benefit from having or using? I'd really like to get my hands on some of those little cocoa huts, the hanging ones, because I think they look kind of wholesome and I've heard that the geckos use them. So maybe in a future video, I'll add some of those to the enclosures and we can see how they like them. But I'm curious to know what sort of things you add for hardscape and plants to your enclosures. Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, I'll give your comment a heart and hopefully we can engage in a little bit of a conversation. Thanks so much. Well everybody, here comes the fun part. Now we get to put the geckos back into their enclosures. I'm so excited to see how they're going to like them. Let's start with Nona. Hi Nona. How's it going, girl? Hello. Are you ready? Okay. Here you go. Go ahead. What? You don't want to go down? Come on. She's not letting go of me. Ah! There you go, girl. Perfect. I think she's gonna love it in this enclosure. As you can see, it is super spacious for one crested gecko. This is the 18 by 18 by 24 high. Alright guys, now that Nona's found a spot she likes, let's get Pingu and Rambo in their enclosure, and then we're done. Okay everybody, so we're gonna start here with Rambo. Come on buddy, that handsome boy. Hey buddy, look at you. He's just a gorgeous gecko. Alright, go ahead. See how he likes it. Doesn't he just have incredible crest structure? Alright, so he's in. And now we have Miss Pingu over here, who kind of did fire up a bit. We'll gently get her out. Pingu, come on. There we go. There you go, that's your new enclosure. Go ahead. Hopefully she likes it. And I do love these vines for enrichment because again, they're not always stable and it really makes the animal have to work to stand on them, climb on them, because they do bend and fold a little bit, but that's good. It helps them develop good muscle structure. It helps them, you know, just stimulate the animal to do something. It's not just a few pieces of large cork that they can walk across. Something a little bit more engaging, you could say. So pretty happy about that. All right guys. Well friends, there you have it. I sincerely hope you enjoyed watching today's video on setting up a Crested Gecko vivarium or terrarium. I think that Pingu, Nona, and Rambo are going to love these enclosures. The revamping, they're going to be very active tonight, I'm sure, and really benefit from exploring and engaging in this new environment. I'm planning on connecting my Mist King system to the top tanks here as well as Basil's enclosure. So that's going to prevent those plants from drying out and ensure that they get a proper watering cycle and relieves that task for me so that I don't have to worry about them drying out. So yeah, expect that in future content. Awesome guys. If you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It would mean the world to me. It does so much for me to have this video perform better. So take the time to do it if you enjoyed it. It means a lot. If you'd like to see more videos on enclosure builds and that sort of topic, check out the playlist up above. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later this week. Bye.